Hello and welcome to ESC Fan TV. So, did you hear it? Someone behind the wall making the same sounds? If you've not seen the results yet, don't forget to look away. If you've seen them, take that video off of replay. Given Stuart's betting advice, how many pennies did you put in the slot? Given the runtime, it was definitely bigger than us, but they've proved it's definitely not too late for love. It's not Hatred Montegra, but love is forever. And next year, we're all off to the Dutch arcade. Yes, we are here to review the grand final of this year's Eurovision Song Contest. Don't forget, you can listen to us later on Spotify, on TuneIn and Stitcher, and also you can catch up with us on YouTube. Meanwhile, I've got a fantastic panel of guests ready to give their views on last night's highs and lows. So, without further ado, fresh-faced and back from sunny Tel Aviv, it's my co-host, Stuart.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Knackered.
I noticed we seem to have lost the whiskey cocktails, rum, and rather relaxed look in that the rattan chair and stuff now.
Yeah, I think life has kind of crept up on me, and yeah, it's a fantastic week actually. I would highly recommend Tel Aviv to anyone. It's a fantastic holiday resort. There's so much going on. Got to try it. Highly recommend it.
Fantastic, and also keeping everything moving in your absence in the chat room. It's been the fantastic Elliot. Hi, Elliot.
Hello. It's all over. What do we do now?
We talk about it. Lots and lots. We also have the lovely Joanne with us.
Hi. Still asleep after last night. Yay.
We have a member of a country who didn't come last. It's the fantastic Nicholas.
Hello. I really liked your intro, by the way. Great job.
Oh, thank you. And also we have our stats man. It's Tristan.
Hello there. Yeah, all over now, isn't it?
It is all over. But what a show. I mean, let's be honest. The one thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that they actually got Golden Boy on as well, to say, let me show you Tel Aviv. I mean, what a fantastic cameo that was. But let's dive straight in, people. My first question for the panel: what were the standout performances for you guys last night? I tell you what, let's go straight to someone who was a lot closer to the action than we were. Let's go to Stuart.
So I really loved Belarus. I thought Xena was fantastic. Okay, it came second last, but there's 26 songs. Someone's got to come last, right? As we as UK fans have found out. But I don't think you can really do anything but start with the Netherlands. The Netherlands had a fantastic performance. The song was the favourite right the way through the whole process, and last night it just blew everybody away. Clear winner for me. It was fantastic, and I'm glad Italy did really well too, because I thought the Italian song was probably their best for many years.
Oh, wasn't it just? I have to say, Mahmoud looked so happy in the green room when the points kept coming in for him, which was fantastic. Let's roll it across. Go on. Ooh. We lost you for a moment there, Stuart. No, we seem to have a frozen Stuart. It's fine. Let's go across to Elliot. What were your standout performances last night?
Echo Stuart. Yeah, the Netherlands really did bring it out of the bag. So there's quite a lot improved in semi-finals, I noticed, and they really stepped up their game. Another one I had to say that seemed a lot tighter and stronger was Norway. The camera shots seemed to work better. They seemed more engaged with it this time. Tom sounded better. Yeah, I think the Netherlands and Norway caught my attention the most. And, of course, Malta. I think she was, like, the best she'd done it as well. So I'd say those three.
Yeah, Chameleon. It was a good opening song, wasn't it? And we did wonder whether she was going to open in the end.
Yeah, it was a good opener, and she seemed to really enjoy it. And that's all we can ask for as a fan, that she had a good time on stage.
This is very true. Joe, standouts.
I echo everyone really. I think the Netherlands were just outstanding, absolutely outstanding. He was. Norway, absolutely amazing. I can't. There's so much pride for someone. You know, I've been championing that the whole time, and just the pride that I had for that performance. They were just stunning. I also liked Azerbaijan. I also thought Kobe for Israel was just fantastic, and I think for me a great thing was the emotion that they all had, and apart from a couple, they really did love being there, loved the whole atmosphere. You know, you mentioning Mahmood. I mean, he was also amazingly good, and you know, just loved being there. Smiles at the end, the excitement, even from the backing singers and dancers. Everyone just loved it and loved the performances. And for me, that the whole show, all their performances was just fantastic.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm going to have to do that special mention to Kobe, because that was just, I had goosebumps all the way down my arm throughout his performance. And when he broke down into tears at the end as well, even though, you know, as always, people crying is not the most attractive thing in the world, but it was so sweet.
And for Eurovision, we like it because we know that they put the passion in there and they want to be there, and it means a lot to them.
Exactly. It goes to show that, you know, it meant something. You meant something. You felt something. Nicholas, standouts for you.
Yeah, what a show. There were so many great performances. Obviously the Netherlands, like there is a reason it won. It was absolutely breathtaking 3 minutes, and this ended up just like going from, it was in my top 5. I really loved it, but like after the final, this was the one I wanted to win the most, just because I think the performance is just, it's so beautiful and so lovely, and he sings it so well. I still want to mention Czech Republic. I think I mentioned them in one of the previous shows as well. I think their performance just worked, and once again in the final they proved that they are so professional and they're so great at what they're doing. And I think their performance stood out because it was so fun and high energy. And I really don't get why it didn't click with the televote at all.
Yeah, it was. Oh, that's another moment. You did feel for them because they looked so excited because they'd done so well on the jury vote.
Yeah, it was a wild voting in general, but I'm sure we'll get back to that later.
Oh, definitely, absolutely. And finally, Tristan, your standout performances.
I mean, obviously, Australia's just. I mean, I know it wasn't particularly different to the Tuesday show, but it's just so fantastic. I think some of you were saying that they shouldn't have maybe shown the polls. I disagree, because otherwise a lot of the viewers wouldn't have actually known that there were polls there at all. They may have just thought it was clever camera work. They were in front of a green screen and they were just moving them around. But by showing the polls, it shows the audience that in fact what they're doing is, or especially what Katie's doing is amazing. She's singing, bouncing on that huge pole. So I think it's the right thing to do. The other standout performance for me, and this is why I'm really surprised it didn't do so well, was Spain. Which I wasn't expecting to. I think it was largely because TVE made a bit of an effort with the staging this year. I loved that house. I loved the. Obviously, you couldn't have a whole band there like in their video, but you had like there was a real sort of excitement on the stage, and when he starts running into the crowd or onto the passageway and still singing in pretty much perfect tune. Spain have a lot to be proud of, and I was really surprised, especially considering they were last. That they did so badly. I think they deserved better.
I think they did, but and do you know what? Let's dive straight in with one of the topics of the contest. Does this go to show the fatigue that we have after 26 songs? Is it a testament to the fact that basically once we're 26 songs in, there are some people who, quite frankly, just haven't got the concentration span at all? What do you think, Tristan?
Possibly. I mean, certainly, being on last has not helped the UK in the case of Molly, and I think Soraya was on last when Spain came bottom. So yeah, it's obviously that very last position isn't so good, but obviously sort of from 22 to 24, it's normally pretty good. I just don't know what's wrong with those last two, especially as people will be tuning in for the voting. So yeah,
I mean, let's open it up to my other guests. Nicholas, what do you think? Is it a case of song fatigue when we get to song 26?
I do think there is some truth to it, because it is obviously a very long show, and I feel like maybe that's just me, but I feel like there were more ad breaks in between the songs than we've had in previous years. I mean, we had a show that lasted for 4 hours, which in my opinion is far too long. I think that's the issue. That was the biggest issue with the show, was that it dragged on for so long. And I think it's just a case of when you get to that very last song, I think many people are probably in the situation where, like, okay, so I'm going to vote for this, and I'm going to vote for this and that, and that's going to be it. And then, if you don't really think too much about the last performance, you'll just forget it. Where if you have a performance, a song that's at the 10th place, and you're still thinking about it when you get to song 26, obviously it had a big impact, but you don't think of it the same way when it's the last song that performed.
And do you know what? I think there's a lot of truth in that as well, because people do, is there an element of people going, well, do you know what? I've already decided who I'm going to vote for. I haven't really got space for another one, and that's it.
I mean, in some countries, it's very expensive to vote, so you don't want to vote for too many countries. I think some people think of it like that.
I have to say, I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. Over in the UK, it costs us 15p to vote. And in other countries, it's like €1.20 and things like this. Absolutely nuts. Which maybe is why UK fans in particular will quite happily pick up the phone and use their 20 votes, because for 20 votes in the UK, it's £3. And yeah, that it's not a huge amount of money in the context of things. Whereas if you look at Estonia, which is €1.20, you're looking at €30, which is probably someone's weekly shop somewhere to use up, their voting thing. Let's stick with the show duration though. Let's go across to Elliot. Song fatigue after song 26, but was the show itself just a bit too long anyway?
I feel so, and I kind of agree with Nicholas, because we had far more ad breaks than I remember in previous. I mean, the first one came after song 4, and I was like, this is way too early to be cutting to the green room. And then it came again like at song 8 or something. I was like, every 4 to 5 songs, there was a break. And I was like, why are we having all these stoppages? Like, I don't fully understand it. And it did drag. And then, as good as the flag parade was, that dragged as well, because you had Star International do a performance. Then you had the first Israeli actors come on and like break. It was just very broke up. And then the voting sequence itself, they sort of dragged out a bit as well, announcing all the televote points. It's just like, just get on with it a bit. Like, these are artists that have also been there probably from 10 a.m. It's now midnight there. They've been up here all day getting nervous and excited and ready to perform. Just for their sake and ours, just get on with it.
I mean, Joe, let's put it to you, because I know we had this conversation yesterday evening. Back in the old days, when things were far more simple back then.
Yeah.
They used to say, you've got 15 minutes to vote. Go off and vote. Do it. Come back, and then we'll get started. I mean, we all love the contest. Even friends I know who, through my genius influence, have learned to love the contest, said that the hour-long voting window was just overkill. Should we be going back to a shorter voting frame to actually make this snappier?
Yeah, was it really an hour? It was.
Yeah,
it was horrendous. I mean, I was, as we were saying last night, it was way too long. I mean, we couldn't believe it, because I thought, you had 15 minutes, because we couldn't get reception in the basement last night, could we? And I thought, right, I've got to go upstairs and very quickly, and of course, because I missed sort of Mons and all the others performing, because I thought I've got to get it really quick, and then finding that actually I could have done it during Madonna. It wouldn't have been a problem because, of course, in the past, what you would do is you'd have that window and you'd have a couple of recaps, wouldn't you? And then a little bit in between, then another recap, then the voting would close, and then you'd have the interval acts, and then you'd have the voting. And instead, what they were doing was having all the interval acts, and then the voting would close. And I'm like, that's just not what Eurovision we usually do in Eurovision. And I agree with everyone else as well about all the ad breaks. I just think that there was way too many. And yes, the flags, you know, I think it was very disjointed. Even the Parade of Nations was disjointed, having all the bits in the middle. I don't understand why they just made a decision to drag it out for that extra 45 minutes to an hour longer than it should have been. Yeah. I really don't. It's very unnecessary.
Stuart, just bringing you in on the conversation here. We've moved on to we've talked about song fatigue. We're now talking about the length of the show in general, and saying that, you know, was 45 minutes to an hour to allow people to televote overkill, and actually led to people actually being a bit disinterested, really, by the time it got round to it.
You needed as many interval acts as you had. I counted 3, possibly 4. It's a huge amount of time for people to go away and go and do something or get on with the rest of their lives. Look, if you're a Eurovision fan, you're going to sit through the full 4 hours. If you're sort of a so-so fan, you're probably going to go away and do something else and maybe forget about it. I don't know, but I don't see the point of Madonna. I see the link to American Song Contest. I get it. You know, next year is probably going to be Britney Spears. You know, we're going to get this now for the next few years. But I personally don't think it needs it. I think it was distraction. The Madonna was the whole Madonna thing overshadowed the contest. It didn't need to. Ironically, Madonna's dancers were in my hotel, and you know, lots of fun, but I just don't get the whole thing. Just don't understand it, why it needs to be 4 hours. Gone are the days when it was 2 hours and we were done.
3 hours. Some of us aren't. Yeah, in fact, yeah, you are more or less the same age as me. It was 3 hours. It used to be 8 till 11.
Oh, I think it was 2, wasn't it? Has it always been 3?
It used to be 8 until 10. When I first watched it as a kid, and then it went to about 10:15. If it overran, 10:15, 10:30.
Only in the last 5 years it's really started to really go past 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
I do wonder. This was a suggestion. Let's fire this out to the panel. Something I did suggest on Facebook when people were going on about this today. Maybe if they are desperate to get interval acts in, given the fact they say it's a TV show, should we have, 15 minutes to televote, have an interval act, come back, do 50% of the jury votes, and then break away from the jury votes and go for a second interval act then, and say, okay, right, everyone's really excited, second interval act, go in for that, and then come back and do the remainder of the jury votes.
I mean, there's definitely a possibility there. I think it would also be cool the way that they do it in Sweden, where it's like you can still do the televoting while the jury votes are there, because then you can see, oh well, it's going this way with the juries, so we can still have it would give that whole feeling of the public have a bigger impact on the results, because we could kind of vote to balance out the jury vote, I guess you can say. But I do think one of the things I feel like they did really well this year that they haven't been doing the other years, which I think could fix this, was to put some of the better interval acts in the semifinals as well. Because not only would it give more of a reason to watch the semifinals, but it also mean that we didn't just get all the big stuff at the grand final and it lasts for 4 or 5 hours. I think they could spread this stuff out even more.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, when you think about how some of the stuff panned out as well.
I think Kiev got it right in the sense of the jury vote. So see, they did half the jury points in Kiev, then they broke away to do that 2 minutes of dashing Lundberg by, and then they went back to it. And that was a perfect way to break the tension, have a bit of fun for 2 minutes for everyone in the green room and in the arena, and then go straight back into it.
I love that.
I don't think we need all these interval acts. Like, I know it's a TV show, but at the same time, we're there to watch what's happening on stage and the voting. We're not there to see Madonna. We're not there to see all this extra stuff. Like, the Israeli band, that was nice because that was part of their culture, and I think that is important. The Switch song idea was brilliant and worked perfectly, and that's what we want to see Eurovision for. Madonna, that was just a wasted 20 minutes that we didn't need.
Yeah.
And it was the lowest point of the show because could anyone explain to me what she was wearing, what she was talking about, and what she was singing?
I'll be honest, I went to the bar during that.
I don't think it even matters. It's just it's no connection whatsoever to Eurovision. That's the point.
It was like when Justin Timberlake did Stockholm. Like, what's this got to do with, like, if they were singing a medley of Eurovision songs, yeah, it would make sense. But it's just her doing a concert she doesn't care about. I doubt she heard of Eurovision really before this or paid much attention to it. She was just there to promote her music to a bunch of fans who weren't there to see Madonna. And I don't think, judging by the reaction online back home and them in the arena, don't care about her and didn't want her there.
I want to bring Tristan in on the conversation because not spoken so far. Tristan, what's your take on all of this?
I mean, I'm a huge Madonna fan. Ever since I was a kid. So it was. I was quite nice to see her there, even though she performed pretty badly. I thought it added, even though for me Eurovision doesn't need any more cachet. It's really such a special thing, but it just made it. I didn't think it was a bad thing at all having her there because it probably raised the profile amongst more people. Certainly, people in America who may never have heard of it, they may have tuned in to YouTube or whatever, which might in future mean that America will show it. I know Logo TV was showing it last year. I don't think they were this year, or
No,
maybe they were, but
America weren't.
So maybe that will help. Help bring it more, give it more of an international audience. I mean, Canada got it for the first time this year. Maybe there'll be more countries joining the fold next year.
What about the length of the show, though?
It was a bit too long, but there again, for me, it could be a week long, and I'd still be happy. But I mean, yeah, it was probably a little bit too long, too many interacts.
Yeah, Stuart,
but I enjoyed it.
Let's hear from you.
So I was sat at the bar with Oban in my hotel on Saturday afternoon. We're having a farewell drink together, and we were joined by a couple of Canadians and Americans. And they'd come over specially to see Madonna at Eurovision. They clearly had no interest in Eurovision whatsoever. They were there specifically for that performance and made it very clear to us that once that performance was over, they were gone. There was also comments, which I saw on Twitter, that there were a number of people that left the Eurovision once she'd performed. I asked the question, is that really where we want Eurovision to go? Is this really where we want it to head? Not for me. Not on my watch.
No,
No.
definitely not.
Because it's not fair on those that have gone there for the contest and the artists who are there. Because it's like, it's all well and good having, 10,000 people there, but if 10% don't give a damn about you singing and only want to see one act 3 hours later, it's going to be a bit disheartening when you put all that time and effort in.
Yeah, I would. Do you know what? The one thing I would say is the fact that we get told it's a TV show. But it's also a song contest, and the focus is supposed to actually be on the artists who have sung those songs, who have given up months and months of their time on tours and prepared for it and everything, and not on them buying in a £1 million act from America.
And it's also it's the beauty of Eurovision, the fact that we can have a show where there are no stars in it. And, I remembered something as we were talking about this. I rewatched, for fun, a Danish documentary that DR did back when they were hosting the show in 2014. And in that program, which is quite funny, they mentioned how they were thinking about doing these like YouTube moment interval acts that could get viewers in. And Jon Olasan and the EBU shut that idea down because they had this whole thing with, they didn't want big stars into Eurovision because it wasn't what it was about. It was the biggest entertainment show in the world without stars. So it makes you wonder what has happened since 2014 that's made them change their mind about this. Because I don't feel like Eurovision is less popular now. And you know, we've clearly seen the whole thing with Logo TV and the American broadcast there. It's like, we aren't going to get America interested in it. And the fact is, the people that are interested in it from America, they're sad because they are geo-blocked on YouTube. So I think they're focusing on the wrong things, because this isn't, and we clearly saw with Madonna, this isn't what's going to improve on the contest and make it more accessible to the mainstream. It has to be itself, because that's the appeal of the show. The show can't be anything else, because it goes against the core values of the show, and people will see that.
Yeah, Stuart, let's just come to you.
Yeah, I mean, look, moving this on a little bit, there is another link here. What you guys won't have seen, and I've experienced all week, every night, in fact, at the start of the show, 10 minutes before going live, Netflix wheeled out a camera and recorded the arena. There is a film that's being made, Eurovision the movie, starring Will Ferrell. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah.
And some other Hollywood star, which I can't remember the name of. And they were playing the two songs, one from Iceland, one from Russia. And they play them every day. By the way, the songs are terrible. Just like to put that out there. But can I just say, I sent out a message earlier, or a tweet or whatever, to say that actually the thing I'll miss most about Eurovision is I won't be able to hear those two songs again, because come the end of the week, I really, really liked them. But they are so terrible. It's unreal. But I think there's a link there. I mean, clearly that's going to be out for a global audience. Madonna is for a global audience. We're heading towards the American Song Contest. And I think it's inevitable that we are globalizing Eurovision, potentially Eurovision Asia at the end of this year. And we're just moving in that direction. You know, but to sort of coin a phrase from Michelle Harrison, you know, Eurovision is getting too big. And there is far too much emphasis now on stage props, presentation, and not enough about the song. And ultimately, a win for Netherlands is a triumph for the song.
And do you know what? And that, Stuart, is a fantastic segue into the next part of the show, isn't it? Because let's face it, it's a song contest at the end of the day, and all these people that have, and I think very much unjustly, criticised the Netherlands victory, which I think is totally unjustified, I think don't actually understand the fact that it's a song contest. It's not a staging contest. It is a song contest, and that was the best song on the night. Now, guys, as with everything, for us hardcore Eurovision fans, and I'm sure even for the people at home watching, the casual fan, what do they tune in? It's the voting. Guys, the voting last night, I think, quite frankly, I mean, if they were aiming for a particular result, they had a funny way of showing it. I mean, Nicholas, what did we make? I don't even know where to start. No. You can pick the starting point for me.
Oh, I'm still in shock over everything. It was probably one of the wildest votings that we've had in recent years. I think, to start off the conversation, I want to talk about North Macedonia, because I don't think anyone saw them doing as well in the jury as they did. I think because we've all loved Macedonia for the past couple of years and said, oh, we wish they would do better with the staging. Oh, we wish they would pick better singers who could really like lift up their songs. You know what? They did that this year. It may not have been one of our personal favorite songs in the Eurofandom, but the fact is, they delivered, they got a great result, and I really hope that this means that in the next couple of years, we're really going to see like North Macedonia get through, because I think they found a formula now that works. I think there are still things that can be tweaked to it, and they can, you know, there's still a possibility for having something that's maybe a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more fun that everyone will enjoy. But at the end of the day, I think this was exactly what they needed to get some spirit back and show that they do have a place in Eurovision. And I think that's really great.
I have to say, when I voted in a poll, actually, 2 days before the contest, I was thinking about all these people today, you know, who were saying, oh, North Macedonia, where did we see that coming from? And then I suddenly realised in my jury vote that I'd done on this online poll, I'd given North Macedonia my 12 points because I'd been so impressed by the song. And I think, you know, I mean, let's face it, she's probably the most talented. Every singer that they send is talented, but in particular, the way she held herself on stage and so on and so forth, I think was probably the most talented that we've seen. Stuart.
Well, do you remember the show we covered a few weeks ago? We said that if North Macedonia can't qualify with Tamara, then I don't know where they go. They have done, and not only have they qualified, they've blown away the jury result. You know, I think it's pretty clear that the televoters weren't going to vote for it. I think that we all sort of saw that coming. But they've proven that any country, if you pick the right song, the right singer, and choose the right type of staging, and it was fairly minimalist, let's face it, can get a good result at Eurovision. Fully deserved. It's a good song.
And let's be honest, that jury vote there, I mean, was this the closest jury vote we have ever seen since they started doing this? Sweden 239, North Macedonia 237, the Netherlands 231.
I think so. 8 points is in the grand scheme of things, and to be honest, you expected Sweden and the Netherlands to be up there for totally different reasons, I feel like. But North Macedonia, like, they got like their first 12 or something, and I was watching it with some friends who are Eurovision fans, and they haven't followed the contest, and we're like, oh yeah, they're up there. It won't last. And like half an hour later, we're like, Christ, they're still up there. They're still holding their own. And bear in mind, this is a country with very little resources and very little money compared to Sweden. They don't have the money to put on a big stage show like Sweden do. It's very much like Moldova. They just have to take their budget and stretch it in the cleverest way they can. And they clearly put it all into the song, and the jury's respected Tamara and her voice. And, you know, she has got a stunning voice. I'm not the biggest fan of the song, and I never will be. But, you know, it proved that juries were voting fairly and voting on the best vocalist, which a jury should do. And Tamara's voice, it is faultless, and she did deliver it, you know, spectacularly. And I think she knew she wasn't going to win. She wasn't going to do that well in the public. So whenever they cut to her in the green room during the public vote, she just seemed very happy to be there. So, you know, she got 8th. She beat Australia, which no one expected. Their best ever result, and in a very competitive year as well. And I'm just very intrigued to see how North Macedonia take this result and what they do next year, because they can do it.
Yeah, we could be reflecting on a North Macedonian win next year. Now, whilst we're talking about the jury voting, do you know what? I'm going to ask the obvious question, people. The person I'm going to go to, I think, is Tristan on this. Lots of things have been said about jury voting lately. Is jury voting still relevant in Eurovision?
For me, more so. I mean, if it weren't for the jury, we wouldn't have had, obviously, countries like North Macedonia doing well, or doing as well. Well, without the jury, they only got 58 points. So it just, I actually prefer the jury vote. I would like to see the television would be a very popular decision, but has power, have maybe only 25%, just because the juries, I mean, they are professionals. They're going to be voting. Most of them are going to be voting. I mean, everyone, even Greece gave a point to North Macedonia. Only 1 point. The televote gave them nothing, but the jury gave them 1 point, and we know that Greece and North Macedonia are not exactly best friends. I mean, they received so many 12s and 10s, and it's just more interesting, more exciting when you hear the jury vote first. And as soon as they started doing that, it made the voting less predictable, because you never knew what was going to happen in the second half. Whereas if we go back to just televote, then we might know the winner already with like 20 minutes of voting still to go, and it just then becomes a bit boring towards the end. Whereas this was exciting because it's split into two. You don't know what the result was going to be.
Yeah, I just want
until the very last vote.
Just want to bring Stuart in on this as well. Is it too transparent these days? Because lots have been said now when people turn around and go, well, for the last so many years, you know, this country's won the televote and this country's won the jury vote, and we've just ended up with a best of the rest. Is the pursuit of transparency too much for people to handle?
I don't think that the jury and the televote are voting on the same things. I think that's the problem. I think that, so take the jury vote, they're voting on a number of different points. They're not particularly voting on the stage show itself. They're voting on the song, they're voting on the performance of the singer, and one or two other things. The televoters are voting on what they see there and then. And let's face it, the majority of televoters are people that just tune in on Saturday night or on a Tuesday and a Thursday for the semis and make a snap decision on what they like. Hence why you get such discrepancies between the jury and the televoters. Not necessarily think that's a bad thing. I think, it's two different metrics for choosing a Eurovision winner. Ultimately, the question is, are we happy with the Eurovision winner we've just picked? And are we happy with the Eurovision winner we picked last year? I'd argue we would be.
Yeah.
If it was down to the televote, Joe would have been happy because Norway would have won.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite comfortable with this year's victory. I'm delighted that we go back to Netherlands. It's been many, many years. I would have taken Norway winning. I thought it was a great stage show, but different metrics for different reasons. And I think bringing the two together, you end up with a pretty competent winner. And it's definitely a competent winner in the Netherlands. Great song. And by the way, if it weren't for the jury, if it weren't for the televote, we wouldn't have had this. Say no, no, no.
That is so true.
Can I also
did you
just
get
add
to
one
see
quick
Sir
thing?
Stuart? Let's get the important things out of the way.
I did. I met him. I met him on the orange carpet. Go to escfantv.com. You will find the videos on there. I met. I think I called him the granddaddy of Eurovision, and he wasn't that keen on that. He prefers daddy.
Do you know what? Funny enough, I can imagine that for some reason.
He is everyone's daddy.
Oh. Yeah, and he was in tune last night as well, which helped.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's really lovely.
So, Nicholas, let's go back to you. Let's take the televote into hand now. Did the new system work?
For me, it did.
Yeah.
This worked so well for me because I think it was so exciting. Because here's the thing. If we had heard, because we had the thing last year, right? We had Sweden and we had Austria all the way up there, and then they did really bad in the televoting, and we knew right from the beginning, right? Okay, so we're not going to any of these places. I believed until the very end that okay, maybe we are going to Sweden next year, and I think that really worked. What doesn't work is the audience shot, not the audience shots, the shots of the performers when they get 5 points and they look really sad. I think that's, it's a shame. It's a shame because you're supposed to celebrate. And I've seen people mention this that the problem with the new system is that you focus on the people who've done badly and you don't celebrate the people who've done good. It wasn't until everyone had, the show was finished and everyone had counted the results up. They were like, okay, right, so it was Norway that won the televote. I don't think people realized that at first. And I think that is a shame because, we should be celebrating how great Norway did instead of focusing on the people that didn't do so well. But it is difficult because some years this system will be the best system, and some years the system we had last year, that will be the best system. It's so hard to predict, and I just think they're doing the best that they can in terms of trying to make this as exciting as possible. And it worked here. For me, it did at least.
Elliot, what did you make of the new system?
I kind of agree with Nicholas. Like, it did keep some suspense because otherwise we would have seen that, Sweden would have come ninth and like, right, we're not going back to Sweden again after, them winning the jury vote. Well, we know North Macedonia is going to come out early at some point, so da-da-da-da. So it would have left, the Netherlands and Italy like it left Cyprus and Israel last year. But I agree, it did focus a bit too much on the negatives and not the positives. Because, yeah, it would have been, even though it would have been slightly anticlimactic because we would have had Norway on 47 jury points, them needing 400 televote points to win, and everyone would have gone, that's not going to happen. So I like it and I don't. I do think they need to refine the camera shots a bit to not focus on the disappointing moments as much. But I'd be happy to see them give it a go next year, try and figure it out. And if it doesn't work again and it's still receiving the same sort of flack, maybe just scrap it. I applaud them for trying it, and it did make it quite interesting. But at the same time, it was just very haphazard, jumping from a high number to a low number, then back, and this and that, and having to do maths on the fly. And I'm not good with maths on the best of days, so my brain.
I'll go to Joe on this. You know, we were sat there watching it, and you know, it's very easy to tell when people haven't done as well as you thought they were going to. Germany, for example.
Yeah, definitely. See, my thought on this as well is, I think it might have been to do with the presenters. This is going to sound weird because it's the tone, and it was the leading up to the build up to it. For example, Norway, for example, whereas you know they were way down, and then sort of she's like, "Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?" And so straight away, I knew they had a big televote score just by the way of the tone of the voice. And this is going to sound really off the cuff, but so you guys probably won't remember because it was when I was a kid. But there was a presenter that used to years ago when you used to get the football scores out. There was a presenter where you know exactly what I mean. There was a guy where you knew you could almost predict what the score was going to be before it came up because of the tone of the voice the guy had. So he would sort of increase the tone of his voice. So you thought, oh, that one's going to win. Yeah. And you see, and then if the tone was lower, then you knew they were going to get less, and then the away team were going to get less than the home team. And I thought that's what happened with the presenters. So I think it could work, but with the presenters.
Yeah, just to give an example for the viewers, it would be things like, you know, England 2, Norway 3.
Yeah, or you know, it's like, so West Bromwich Albion, and then you knew that
West Bromwich Albion 4, Middlesbrough 2.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah, and it's all to do with that, and I just think that the presenter was very much a case of, are you ready for it? And because there's a high pitch you had, and you just knew that they'd done really well, and then Germany and the Czech Republic, I just had a feeling that they wouldn't do as well. Obviously 7 points just was a bit sort of, you know, not enough, but you know, it was the case of you knew that they hadn't done very well because of that tone just dropped down. So they, if they're going to use it, they have to train the presenters up to give it out in more of a dead manner.
Yeah, and you know, poor Germany, poor Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Poor United Kingdom as well.
Yeah, I think so. But we, again, I mean, with that one, I think we were slightly behind, wasn't we? So we sort of knew the result. We knew what the vote was a little bit.
We didn't know on that one.
Yeah. But Denmark did well.
Denmark did very well.
Yes, and I'm very happy.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was a great position for us, so I'm really happy.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would say as well, as I think, as far as the jury goes, the question before about the jury, I do think we, you know, we need to keep it, but it has to be that balance, and that's where the Netherlands were fantastic because they didn't win either, but they were brilliant with both, and that's the all-round performance.
And can we just flag up here? I think it's something that does need to be mentioned. Is that this was the closest Eurovision Song Contest we have had under the new system ever. If you go back and look at it, obviously you have Salvador's landslide victory of 758 points from a couple of years ago. But alongside that, since the new system's come in, every country has got over 500 points to win the contest. And in actual fact, in many ways, you know, a lot of countries have had some incredibly low points at the expense of a couple that have kind of, you know, jostled for position. This year, oh my God, everyone was, I mean, let's face it, going into that televoting, there were probably, 10 countries, 11 countries that could have actually swept in for victory there.
There was a lot over 100, wasn't there?
Yeah, I've got the list up now. So, over 100 points in terms of the jury vote. we had from 9th place onwards got over 100 points.
Wow.
And that's from Russia at 125 to Sweden at 239. So the margin there as well was only just over 100 points between the two countries, between 1st and 9th, which is crazy. And even when push came to shove at the other end of the scale, there's a lot of countries that actually did finish with over 150, 200 points this year, which I think is fantastic. And I think it's a reflection. I mean, by all means, panel, come at me on this. I think it's a reflection this year. I think the quality of songs this year was substantially higher than it has been across the board.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what the contest needs. That's what the contest needs to do to appeal to the mainstream media. Have current recognized, like that's why I think Michaela opened the show. It was a current 2019 song you could hear on the radio, not go, "Oh, this is a Eurovision song." And I think that's what. I'm not saying countries should sacrifice their ethnic ability or their home structure for the sake of a competition, but the standard has been so high. And you can make a case for all the countries that got eliminated in the semi-finals to be in the final in some form or another. It just shows that the contest is heading in the right direction, and that's the important thing at the end of the day, because it also makes it exciting from a competitive point of view.
Yeah, and they didn't sacrifice it either, did they? I mean, Azerbaijan, for example, they had that bit of sort of ethnicity in it, as well as the fact that it was a very modern pop song as well.
Right. Panel, we are heading towards the end of today's show. Elliot, what's going on in the chat room this evening?
In the chat room, a few are with us, which is great. Someone who I think is from the Netherlands has said they're very excited to be going to their first Eurovision next year. So they're very excited about that. And also, said David Ray, our favourite person, said their favourite host was Lucy. I can't remember if she was in the green room or on the main stage. I actually can't remember which one Lucy was. And they said he said he enjoyed. This is a bit harsh, but he enjoyed the moment where Bar said sorry to Germany, so then you instantly knew something bad was coming when she apologized for announcing the 0 points.
Yeah.
And said that, he was very surprised about the Czech Republic's result as well of only 7 points, which I was as well. And it was a very heartbreaking moment to see their draws all just sort of drop in unison and their heartbreak, because, side note, it was a great song, and I don't understand how the public didn't connect to it.
I have to say, the Czech Republic song, when we were on our way to the Manchester Eurovision party, some of us last night, we were kind of, gaily leapfrogging along, but basically singing that song as we're kind of walking down the street. Probably much to the amusement of passers-by, I hasten to add, people. Other songs are available.
Don't tell everyone.
Now, guys, as we head towards the end of today's show, I have one final question for the panel. And it's this. It's a 3-part question. And I want to know what country you feel most disappointed. You think the result was most disappointing for them. What country you think exceeded your expectations. And also what country you think basically got what they deserved, shall we say, where you think they pitched it right. Let's assess our. It's a thinking question. Let's go with the first one. What country do you think actually this was kind of pitched perfect? We knew that this was always going to happen. Elliot.
I have to admit, the one which I sort of predicted the most was Switzerland. Like, as soon as we heard the song, we thought, they've got it right this year. This is what they need to do. Send something with power and impact, because that's what they've been lacking the last few years. I instantly saw this as a top 5 from the first listen. It got them their first top 5 since 1993. I think they played it spot on.
Okay, Joe.
Well, we have to go with the Netherlands, don't we? Even though they've won, only because it's been a long time coming, and they've gradually been creeping up and up and up. And you know, they put quite a lot of effort into actually selecting Duncan, selecting Arcade, and yeah, they wanted to win, so it was perfect for them.
Okay, Nicholas.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Netherlands as well. You know, I think ever since Calm After the Storm just kind of came out of nowhere, it's clear that they were hungry for a win, and we all, deep inside, we all knew, okay, the Netherlands, we're gonna have to watch out for them next couple of years. This was the year where they took all the experience they've had in the previous years, where they've really taken Eurovision seriously, put it all together. They got the winning package, and I'm happy for them.
Yeah, as I said on Friday night show, the Netherlands have been very much a sleeping beast
very
for
much.
quite a few years now. Tristan, country you think met your expectations?
Met or exceeded? Just met.
Met.
I mean, met expectations, I suppose, mainly because of all the hype. Obviously, Netherlands, I was expecting it to do very well, and it did very well. Had I not known that they were the favourites, then they would have exceeded my expectations. But obviously, they pulled out all the stops. I thought that the juries, the bookies had got it wrong, because I couldn't see what the appeal was really. And I thought, well, just a guy on piano, it's not going to, the televote isn't going to like it. But I was wrong. I mean, it was just so it met my expectations mainly because it had been drummed into me it was going to win.
And what song for you actually went past your expectations this year when it came to that scoreboard and you looked and you're like, oh my god?
Italy. I mean, Italy was a real shock because I mean, they did extremely well. They got 253 in the televote and 212 in the jury, which is very high. I mean, in previous years, it's been the televote that has helped Italy, and they've not done so well with the jury. This time, the jury loved them. That was surprising because it's in Italian. It's rap, which is not the most popular of musical genres, and it did extremely well. And it's far exceeded my expectations. Coming second, just 25 points behind the winner. That was just amazing.
Okay, Nicholas, exceeding your expectations this year.
Exceeding my expectations. I think the one that's always continued to surprise me was Switzerland, because I think what we've seen in previous years, they've been, you know, I think they've wanted to do well and send something good, but they've just been one of those countries that you've always looked at and been like, yeah, okay, so it's fine, but like somehow this year they managed to pick a good vocalist, they managed to pick a great song, they managed to do really good staging, really creative staging that really worked, and they managed to get a top result. I don't think, had we been talking about this a year ago, I don't think anyone had expected Switzerland to be where they were. And I think that's just, it's one of the wonders of Eurovision. It's one of the things I love the most, when a country just like comes out of nowhere and be like, you know, this is our year. I love that.
Okay, Joe.
I think the jury for North Macedonia, if I'm honest, and North Macedonia as a whole, going on the left-hand side of the board, not just not qualifying, but absolutely storming it in the final. Again, they wanted something. They wanted to do well. There was something inside. There was, after not qualifying last year with what was potentially could have been a really good song, that, you know, there's a bit of fire in their belly, and they sent the best vocalist virtually ever, you know, probably in the whole country at the moment, who's also amazing with the press and a really, really lovely person, and just put all the whole package together with a cracking song to come up with Proud and what they did. So yeah, they were a massive surprise to me.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And Elliot.
I think first and foremost, the biggest shock was just San Marino in the final, because I don't think anyone expected that. And especially when you look at their televote score, getting fourth in that first semi-final. And I think more so, and again, going on the televote sense, it's Norway. From the moment Kaino was selected, I never in a million years thought this will get top 5. I thought it will do well to qualify, and it will qualify purely on its televote appeal, but never in a million years did I think it would win the televote and get top 5. I thought if it was like 2009, 2008, I could see that. But clearly, there was something in that song that people loved more than just it's a happy, fun pop song. Because songs like that, they do okay in the modern contest, but don't win the televote. And I'm happy for them, and I do love the song. I just never in a million years thought Kaino would be above John Lundvik at the end of the scoreboard.
I mean, for me personally, if I was going to go with a song that's kind of really, really exceeded my expectations this year, it's going to be Italy, because that did creep up on me, especially when I went to LEP with the clapping and everything. But then last night to see them do so well as well was brilliant, because I think it was one of those where you couldn't necessarily place as to where it was going to be. Meeting my expectations this year, Sweden. I have been a big supporter of John Lundvik, but I think if I looked at my heart of hearts, I always knew it was going to appeal to one side of the voters and not the other. And I think, you know, Sweden were always going to be up there with it. Fantastic song. I'm going to continue to listen to it and everything. But I kind of always thought it was always going to skim past, shall we say, the top 5 rather than be a part of it. Final thing, guys, the song where you thought, come on, juries, have you not noticed this song yet? Televoters, have you not noticed this person yet? Elliot, a song you really would have liked to have seen higher up on that scoreboard last night.
I mean,
heroes.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be Michaela and Malta, just because Malta took a huge risk ditching their selection they've used for the last 30 years. They found this new artist with a very current, cool song, which I knew would appeal to the juries. I knew she would do well that side, and she got 10th. Malta unknown having a poor televote, but I thought this song, it's so catchy, it's so current. I saw so many people on Twitter in the UK hearing it for the first time saying, oh, this is my sort of music, I can listen to this. So to see her only get 20 televote points from 4 countries, it was a bit of a shocking to see her 16th. I was disappointed by. I would have liked her, you know, slightly higher, about 12th or so, but it is what it is, and I just hope Michaela now has a fantastic career, which I will forever support her for, because she's a great girl, and at 18, I think she's done herself and her country very proud.
Okay, Joe.
Spain. I expected more, and again, I think we probably covered the fact that they came last. You know, they were on last. He was on last, but they were doing amazing things. You know, on the staging, he sang probably the best I've heard him sing last night, without a shadow of a doubt. It was fun. You and I, we were all dancing to it. You know, everyone was dancing to it last night, and again, I expected people to sort of be a bit warmer to it than what they were. You know, more. I mean, maybe not so much the jury, but certainly the televotes. I was expecting a lot more from them than what you got. And you got what, 50? I'm gonna say 53, but it's 50 something, wasn't it?
It is exactly 53. I have a figure in front of me.
Yeah. So he was. So again, for Spain, yeah, you go Spain, and you know, but the fact that he got the you know, he was last in the jury anyway, and then. Yeah, it wasn't enough, unfortunately. He should have been left-hand side.
Nicholas.
Yeah, I have 2 in this category. Obviously, Malta is one of them. I was a big supporter of Malta as well. I think Elliot's already said everything. You know, she's so young. She has her whole career ahead of her, and I think she'll do well. Maybe one day even return to the Eurovision stage. I could definitely see that happening. But also Sina from Belarus, like. She's such a great performer. She absolutely smashed it on the show. You know, the song is fun and upbeat. It appeals to the young voters. I really didn't expect this to be so low, and I didn't expect this to be a borderline qualifier. When I saw it go through, I was like, yeah, of course, because this is great. This is fun. This is the kind of song you can listen to at any time. And I wouldn't have changed a thing about her performance. I think the performance was fantastic, like it was. So that was one of my biggest disappointments.
Okay, and finally moving across to Tristan.
I mean, while I was never a big fan of the song, United Kingdom, seeing that it was so similar to the Swedish song written by the same or one of the same, written by John Ludwig as one of the writers. It was in a similar style with the singers coming on gospel style towards the end, coming from the back. It was, and yet for it to do so badly, I mean, I knew it wasn't going to set the scoreboard alight, but to do so badly, I mean, just 3 televotes, and I'd like to say 13 jury votes, but in fact, 5 of those jury votes were from Belarus, and the Belarus ones were sort of made up because there was an issue with Belarusians talking about their semi-final votes, so they were sort of like made up votes for Belarus.
Mm.
So really, only 8 from the jury for the United Kingdom. That was quite shocking. It wasn't a great song, but it certainly didn't deserve to be so different from Sweden.
Yeah, you know what? I think I would agree. Michael Rice is an unsung hero, I think, in the contest. The other unsung hero I would pick is Kobe from Israel. I think that in terms of it being a song contest, I thought he was brilliant. And I think he gave a really good account of his home country. And he clearly meant a lot for him to be there. And I think, you know, and the same thing what you've said, Tristan, where you've said, you know, look at where Kobe's 12 points came from in the jury vote. Came from the Belarusian jury that was dismissed anyway because of the revealing their jury votes for semi-final 1 too soon. So, you know, it's a bitter pill to swallow. At the end of the day, though, the clue is in the title. It's a contest, and there's always going to be some winners, and there's always going to be some losers. But I think I speak for the whole panel when I say that they are all winners in our eyes, regardless of the result last night. Now, guys, you may be wondering, where do we go from here? Well, we're going to have a party, an end of season party, Friday. Be there, 8 p.m. British time, 9 p.m. European time. We are just going to take stock. We're going to actually reflect and have a party and celebrate the many successes that we've seen across this Eurovision season. In the meantime, you also have that great chance to catch up. If you've not listened to, if this is the first show you've listened to, oh my goodness, you've got hours of material to catch up on. You've got everything from Joe's interview with Mickey. You've got Elliot's review of betting odds. You've got some fantastic comments from panelists Nicholas and Tristan throughout, as we've done all the national finals and things. There's loads of stuff there. Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher. In actual fact, it may even take you till Friday night actually to listen to the whole thing anyway. But until then, I would like to say a massive thank you to my panelists this evening. Thank you very much to Tristan.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks very much to Nicholas.
Thank you. Shalom.
Thank you to Joe.
Bye, everyone. Lots of love.
And thanks to Elliot.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you in the Netherlands.
Yes, it is. It's the Dutch time next year. Let's see if I can do this. Ah, there we go. And of course, they are all kings as well. It took me 6 months, but I finally perfected it. Guys,
Good job.
We will see you on Friday night. Until then, don't get too sad. There's loads of stuff to catch up on. And we'll see you on Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.